I'm here at the overseas call centre of a large insurance company. With me is customer service team leader Mr. Bolte. Mr. Bolte, how easy is it to provide great insurance service to your customers?
Well, we're on another continent. You can never get through. We've no idea who you are, and we're only allowed to work from a script with the information on the screen in front of us. Frankly, you'd be better with High House.
High House Insurance, your local experts. High House Insurance don't pay to be on comparison websites, so your premiums are better value. For a free, no-obligation quote, call Chelsea 606 552. High House, local, reliable insurance. High Street, Chelsea.
And welcome to Manhood Internet Radio. My name's Keith Barnes. And kicking off the show this week, we have our weekly look at what's going on in and around the peninsula for the coming week with What's On. And we start with the Selsey area this week. And on Monday the 21st of March, come and meet the Selsey first responders at the Selsey Venture Club from 7 p.m. The organisation are in desperate need of more volunteers to man this vital community service. So if you can help, please come along there and let them know. Now also on Monday at the Academy, We Will Rock You, and that's being put on by students from the Academy, and tickets for that are available from school reception. Now Tuesday the 22nd of March, well, We Will Rock You is on again, so if you enjoyed it the first night, you can go and see it the second night, or you've got a choice of nights which you can go and see it. And as I say, once again, tickets are available from school reception. Wednesday the 23rd of March, Selsey Town Council have a full council additional meeting, and that's at the parish hall at 7:30. And if you go along there, and you should do really, you pop along there and make your presence felt, you might well ask them why they've increased the hire charges for the town hall by up to 60%. Yes, 60%. Well, it's a question worth asking. Thursday the 24th of March, Selsey Cinema Club is showing Brooklyn, and that's 7:30 at the Town Hall, and tickets for that are £5. Friday the 25th of March, that's a bank holiday of course, there's a Good Friday service at East Beach Evangelical Church, and that's from 10 a.m, and hot cross buns will be served. And also on Good Friday there's a service at the Selsey Methodist Church, and that's at 3 p.m. Now on Saturday the 26th of March, down at Pagham Harbour, a walk in the past, and that's from 10:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. It's £8 per person, or £4 if you're an RSPB member, and it's a gentle stroll around the northern end of the harbour, taking in stories of the harbour's history, the salt house and Siddlesham. Also on a Saturday, we've got the Cat and Kitten Rehoming Day at the Cat and Rabbit Rescue Centre in Cholder Lane, Siddlesham, from 12 noon until 2 p.m. Now last time they held this, they rehomed a tremendous amount of cats, so it really is something worth going to. And also on Saturday the 26th, the Heroes are appearing at Selsey Royal British Legion Club, and that's 6:30 p.m, and new members are always welcome. And on Monday the 28th of March, which of course is Easter Monday, Selsey carers have a car boot sale at the Academy, and that's from 7:30 a.m. until 1 p.m, and cars are £7, and cars and trailers £10, and vans are £12. And as if that's not enough, if you want to find out a load of other stuff that's going on, have a look at the Selsey Centre's website. They've got a tremendous amount of stuff happening down there, and that's www.selseycentre.com. Now, moving across to Bracklesham and the Witterings, on the Monday at the Bracklesham Barn, they have short mat bowls, and that's from 10 a.m. until 12:30 in the main hall, and in the community room from 9:30 until 11:30 a.m. they have the Ducklings Parent and Toddler Group, and in the evenings from 7 until 8:30 p.m. have Yoga with Elaine. On Tuesdays there's Yoga with Elaine from 10 a.m. till 11 a.m, and in the evening there's badminton from 7:30 until 9:30, and in the community room there's Pilates with FitJoy. On Wednesdays from 1 until 2 p.m. they have my favourite, which is belly dancing with Step Inside Limited, and in the evening in the main hall they have 6:30 until 7:30 Zumba with Louise, 8 until 9 the Sweat Zone exercise class, and in the community room from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. they have motorcycle training, and it needs to be pre-booked, and every 2 weeks from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. there's Gyrokensis with Jen. On Thursdays from 9:15 a.m. until 12:15 in the main hall they have the Busy Bugs Toddler Gym, And at 2 o'clock until 4 p.m. in the community room, they have the Thursday group, and that's on the first Thursday of the month. And from 4:30 until 5:30, they have the Kids Art group with Anita. On the first Thursday of the month, of course, they have the CNET, which is the community cinema, and that starts at 7 p.m. On Fridays, in the main hall, from 9:15 until 10:15 a.m., they have Vinyasa Flow Yoga with Lou. And from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. they have short mat bowls. And of course on Sundays from 10:15 a.m. until 12:15 they have the Windrush Church meeting. And that's just a look at some of the stuff that's going on in and around the area for the coming week. Now if you think that there's something missing from there, something you know about that's happening that's not been listed, well then please contact us. You can text us on 07551 93019, and you can email us at manhoodinternetradio@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to put it right. Right, a number of people have asked me what that piece of music's called. Well, it's just written as a jingle, and it's called Soft Lounge, but it's just as it is. It's only a short piece of music. It hasn't come from a longer piece, and but rather pleasant and relaxing nonetheless. And joining me now are two very good friends. Well, at least I hope they're good friends. They've been husband and wife for years. Two very good friends of mine, Trudy and Peter Hynes from the Feelgood Factory. Now, we spoke to them just before Christmas, and I raved about the place, and I still rave about the place because it's got a wonderful array of machinery down there, which will either help you get fit or it'll just help you get flexible, but whichever way, it'll help you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Peter. Morning, Trudy. Now, down at the Feelgood Factory in Selsey, things have been going from strength to strength.
They have.
And I believe you've now got a hairdresser in there, firmly ensconced.
Yeah, it's Sula. She's really making a name for herself, actually. Quite a lot of the members use her, and she's starting to get her own clientele now.
I did hear, actually, my wife, who seems to be an expert on hairdressers, or spending money at them anyway, she said a friend of hers went and had her hair done there and was very pleased with it.
She is very good. Her speciality is colouring. That's her speciality, and she's been trying to get me to colour my hair, but I'm going old gracefully. I'm bright, I'm brown.
Disgracefully.
Disgracefully. Yeah. So yeah, but that's her speciality, and she's doing very well.
And massage, I believe you started that, but it's not going to be part of future
massage
plans.
hasn't really taken off, but Vicky, who does the massage and nails, she's, again, a lot of our members have used her for the nails, and she's very, very artistic. It's just not your ordinary manicures. She does some really beautiful designs on the nails. So yeah, we're coming, Keith.
I'm looking at my fingernails now, but I think there's no saving mine.
So what we're actually going to do, where the small massage studio was, we're going to put in, as our original plans, a stand-up solarium, because having canvassed views, especially amongst the younger clientele, and summer on its way now, that will be very popular. So in fact next week we're going up to Northampton to have a look at the manufacturers and select one that you actually stand up in. So that's what will be going in there very shortly.
But I used to fall asleep in a solarium, so if I was stood up,
Not if you're standing up.
No. I'd need suspending from a piece. No. From a piece of rope, but I was going to say, but too many people would want to help with that.
Yeah, the old bed type things where like coffin, and they're not particularly hygienic, and there's a lot of issues with them. Whereas the latest ones, you walk in, and it's the lamps have to meet the latest criteria. something or other,
Yeah.
so that they're safe. And that's why we're actually going to the manufacturer. We were recommended to this particular one. They meet all of the latest requirements, and obviously you don't take chances with things like that.
No, well, I'm pleased to hear that because they've had some bad press in the past.
Yes, and that's
it's put an
trouble.
awful lot of people off.
Yeah.
And strange thing is that people say, "Oh, well, I wouldn't use one of them. I'd rather go and sit out in the sun." Doesn't it do the same thing?
Yeah.
But
It's much
anyway.
quicker as well on sunbed.
Yeah.
Controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit down at East Beach in Selsley. It's a bit cold for laying out there this time of year and getting a tan.
Yeah.
But anyway, people that live in Selsley have got plenty of money and they all go off to the Canaries, apparently. Now, it's gone from strength to strength, as we said. Your memberships on the increase.
Increase quite a lot, and most of it is word of mouth, which we're really pleased
Well,
with.
that's great
we
stuff,
take
isn't it?
notice of where people, hear about us, and it certainly is word of mouth, which is the best.
Of course it
thing
is.
you can get,
Recommendation. It doesn't come any better than that.
It
does
doesn't, no. It really doesn't. Recommendation is the best marketing you could ever get.
As I say, when I came down in December and looked at it, I was taken with the place. I really was. And the fact that, of course, you could make yourself a cup of tea down there, which was a great idea.
Absolutely, yeah. That
So
also
even
goes down
if
very
I
well.
could sit and look at the machinery, I could sit and look at the cup of tea in my hand.
You
And
could.
we have biscuits now as well.
Biscuits.
Yes.
Oh, you see what happens when you get a few members? There you go, splashing money about all over the place. Now, plans for the future.
For the future, well, we've just started up. It was an idea I had. A lot of the ladies have been to various slimming clubs and they stay for a little while, lose their weight, which is great, and they are fantastic for that, getting you on the road to losing weight. But then people stop going and then unfortunately the weight piles back on. And generally people don't go back, which is a shame. But I'm one of them. And I found myself going to another slimming club, but I wasn't waiting around for the meeting. It really is just getting myself weighed, because I know what to eat and what not to eat, and what to drink and what not to drink, and how much to drink, etc., etc. I don't really need to be told that, and I've got so many books in the cupboard for diet books. So I thought...
Best place for them, I'm
Best
going to
place
say.
for them, yeah.
In the cupboard.
So I thought, what about if Feelgood Factory had their own slimming club, and we've called it Waist Watchers, where people can come in on a Tuesday evening between 5 and 7 and Saturday morning between 10 and 12, and they get weighed and they get measured, and they can also have 30 minutes on the Shake Master equipment, all for the princely sum of £4. It's somewhere that they can focus their brain on, that I'm going there every week and I'm going to get weighed, which is no different to any other club. I've brought all my diet books in, and the word has gone round, and now I've got practically a library full, because all the ladies have come in and brought their diet books in. So they're there for borrowing. People can just take them away and borrow them and take out what they want and bring them back. And it's been going for just a couple of weeks. And I started doing the Biggest Loser prize, and that's already been won by one of our members,
Wow.
which is great. So we'll see how that goes. I think it'd be quite successful.
Well, it certainly sounds like
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's
Actually,
In
would
fact-
add that that's open to anybody.
Yeah,
They don't have to be.
non-members.
Yeah, it's free to our members, obviously, part of our service. But the general public, anybody can just come along as they would for
I didn't
any other
hear
clubs.
much mention of men being there.
Yeah, well,
Lots
the
of
men
mention
can come along,
of
but
ladies there, but not much.
Generally, it's the ladies that really like to watch their weight. Men tend to like to keep fit,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
and the weight loss comes off with that, but they're not quite so, what's the word I'm looking for? The word I want
Focused.
to use is focused, yeah. Not quite so focused as ladies.
I was thinking of vain, actually. Probably the same thing.
Yeah, so,
There's a lot of men that would like to lose weight, are just too lazy, like me.
And having said that, I do have a couple of men that have come along that happen to be there on a Tuesday
Oh, right,
evening, and
yeah.
I've talked them into it getting weighed, and they're quite happy with that. And in fact, two of our ladies that come on a Tuesday, they actually bring some sample cakes, slimming cakes, of course,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
which have gone down very well.
And that's called Waist Watchers.
Waist Watchers,
Waist
yeah.
Watchers,
So I've
'cause
also got a website for that. So
Oh,
it's www.wastewatchersclub.com, as well as the Feelgood Factory website. So on that website I've got a blog where I put on diet tips and the winner of the Biggest Loser, that type of thing. Nothing too sort of strenuous, but it's just somewhere that they can go and see what time it's on, how much it is, what they get.
Yes, if anybody wanted to watch my waist, they'd have to have a great big pair of binoculars and turn them round the wrong way. That's the only way it'd all fit in. But if I wanted to get rid of it, I know just the place to go to.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you want to borrow any diet books to prop up the end of your sofa that you broke because you're too fat, then that's also the place to go. Now, membership, I believe, is up over the 100 mark now.
Yes, we've got over 100 members now, which is excellent. I mean, we've only been going, 5 months?
Yeah.
And as I say, most of it has been, apart from when we very first opened, a leaflet drop, and that it's been word of mouth. People are so impressed with it. They've been telling their friends, their family, young and old. I mean, we've got some very young people that have joined. I think our youngest she actually comes in with her mother because she was quite overweight and her mother was concerned about it. So I've said as long as she comes in with her mother, she's only 13. And she wanted somewhere that she wouldn't feel intimidated. And she just loves it.
Well, you certainly wouldn't feel intimidated down
No.
at the Feelgood Factory. That I do know, because it's almost like a friends club when you go in there.
It is, yeah.
There's a wonderful atmosphere about the place.
Yeah.
And free tea and biscuits, of course.
Waist watchers.
Waist watchers, yes. But that's the only thing that worries me now. If I was to walk in, I'd have to hold me waist in, stick my chest out. But no, it's all been going on very, very well.
Yeah.
And spreading by word of mouth. As anybody that would listen to the first time I spoke to Peter and Trudy would know, or Trudy and Peter, actually, I would know because they argued about that last time, that I raved about the place. And there's very good reason for that, because when you get to my age, use of gym equipment is not something that you find very attractive or even very easy, and I'm quite a big fella. But the equipment that they have is usable with minimal effort or maximum effort, depending on what you want to put into it. You can put as little effort or as much effort as you want into it, so you can work yourself as hard or as gently as you like. It will certainly increase your flexibility, and it'll increase your fitness, of course. So I would urge you just to go along and have a look, and you'll be made most welcome. Just pop your head in the door and see what it's all about. And if you know anybody that's a member down there, I'm sure they'll be extolling the virtues of it every minute they get the chance. Well, thanks for coming in, Peter, Trudy.
Thanks for having us.
Trudy, yeah. Peter. I will get it right in a minute. And it's lovely to talk to you again. As I say, you know I was taken with the place when I came there. And I would urge everybody just to pop their head in. You can't normally drive a car past it because all the traffic that's parked out there, as is well documented in Selsey, of course. So just walk down there. That's part of the way to keep him fit. And pop your head in the door and you'll be made most welcome, and probably be made a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Definitely.
Well, thanks once again, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have with me now a gentleman called Cliive Loseby, and Cliive runs a website design company called Access by Design. Good morning, Cliive.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, there are a lot of web design companies about, Cliive. It must be a very difficult business to be in at the moment, the way the financial situation is. Who do you mainly cater for? Is it big companies or is it small individuals?
Mostly it's B2B. But we've done websites for small charities and large charities, non-government organisations, about 5 local parish councils, Chichester City Council. The thing that we've always done in the 8 years we've been trading is we've always just designed bespoke websites. We've never bought a template in all that time. The reason for that, we made a deliberate decision not to do that. Most web designers buy templates, and that's fine. The difficulty is If the client wants the template to do something a little bit that it doesn't do.
Yeah.
And they say, can we do this? And I'll do that. And the web designer goes, oh, I don't know, I'll have a look at that. Actually, it's much easier to find out what the client wants and then build something that actually works for them.
Yes, I've tinkered about with a couple of websites myself, and I actually host a couple at the moment, and they're very simple issues, and they use templates, but they're very limited. You're right. That much I do know about your business. I don't know a great deal more, I have to say. So it's mainly corporate stuff that you do.
No, I mean it's we started. My wife and I started the business 8 years ago, and we were designing websites for one-man bands, tradesmen, very small businesses, and the main thing I want to talk about today is run your own website, which is kind of us going back to that, because what has happened over the last 8 years is we've got bigger and better and more expensive. We've got to the point that although the build quality of our stuff is great, it's these days people just don't have the money. They might.
Well, no, that's true. They're spending it on going abroad on holidays and stuff like that. But there are very, very cheap website packages about. Very, very cheap. But that's what they are. Very, very cheap website packages. And I use one myself, and I have to say I'm not best pleased with it. But it's one that I did. And like a lot of people, I guess, I didn't want to spend a lot of money because I didn't know if it was going to be of any benefit. So I tried it initially, and it's still there, and it's not of any real great benefit to me in what I do. But people expect you to have them nowadays.
They do.
If you're any kind of business at all, people expect you to have a website, and if you haven't got one, they almost look down on you as if to say, well, not a proper business really. You're just playing at it. So I know that there are some very cheap ones available, but they do come over as being very cheap websites, unless you really know what you're doing, and people like that are doing what you're doing. What sort of cost for if I came to you as an individual and I wanted a website built that was not particularly flashy, but was something that was a bit eye-catching, a bit unusual? What sort of money can we be talking about? I mean, I know it's the sort of how long's a piece of string question.
Absolutely, I understand. Our websites have always been built to a very high standard. We're called Access by Design because accessibility is really important to us. Simple reason being, if your website doesn't meet the needs of a certain group of people, they're not going to do business with you. Now, for me, those certain groups of people could be somebody with a mobile phone, with a tablet, or who's blind. They're all people who've got a different need, but they still maybe want to trade with you. So what that means is the websites we've designed go through over 80 checks before we launch them, every single one for the last 8 years. But there is a price tag with that. When we charge typically around £3,000-4,000 for our websites, which is, for what you get, is very good value, but the reality is a lot of people do not have that budget.
No, that's for sure. I mean, it's a lot of money. If it doesn't generate any income, it's a lot of money to spend. Because there are situations where the generation of income from a website is not the key issue.
That's absolutely true.
It's to get information out there, as opposed to attracting customers, if you like.
One of the things that we learned, particularly over the last few years, because it isn't easy out there, there's not a lot of cash to spare, is that people, they love what we do, but they can't afford it. So what we spent the last 12 months developing is basically taking our technology, of which we won the Product Innovation Award in the Business Awards last year, which was great.
That's good. Yes, that's very good.
They recognised that we 5 years ago, when websites for mobiles and tablets, that technology came out, we were one of the first to be on it. We combined it with accessibility to make sure that our websites just meet the needs of everybody. And 5 years on, we got recognised for it, which is fantastic.
That's great. Yeah, it's always.
But the problem was that, again, you're still talking about £3,000 for a website. So what we did is we spent the last 12 months taking all of our skill and our technology, but turning it into effectively an off-the-shelf product. Because, as you said, the low-cost self-build market, there's a lot out there. It's pretty crowded. The difficulty is with all of those is that no matter how pretty or not pretty they look, the build quality is poor. The code that they generate is poor. Now Google, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, has got very fussy about code. It's got very fussy about how well a website is built. Google is blind, and I always use the analogy, it can't see how nice your website looks, but it can forensically analyse your website very quickly. Google's got one interest, and that is Google. And therefore,
absolutely.
The websites that it promotes have to be ones that meet the needs of as many people as possible. Because if you've got a group of people who go to Google regularly, and the websites that Google is showing them that they go to don't work for them because they're not accessible or they're badly coded or whatever, they'll give up with Google because I think, well, so that's why it's all changed in the last 3 years. Now, from our point of view, that's fantastic because we've always built websites to a very high standard. Now, Google is saying, yes, it's really important that the websites are accessible and are well coded. So what we now have is a product that basically ticks all the boxes that Google looks for, but it starts at £500. So suddenly you are in the market where you can have a really nice looking website with templates that we've created that's built to a very high standard and it's going to be Google friendly.
It strikes me that you know, for something like a good website, £500 is not expensive.
No, it's not.
And it could certainly generate its own, you know, it could generate income. If you're in business and people look at your website, and I'm sure this is what happens with me, people look at my website and think, yeah, well, I bet that's all right. I bet that picture of him's 20 years old and this sort of stuff. You know, or it's a bit dull and uninteresting.
Yeah.
He's probably the same. And I'm sure they do look at that. You know, I know my website doesn't generate much income at all. But a lot of people fall into that trap. They think, well, I'll try it out, and if it, you know, to see if it generates any income. If it doesn't generate any income, not worth having a website, which of course is wrong.
I think the way to look at it is that there are two things that you have to have if you want to get more business. The way that you get more business through the internet is generally through Google, you know, locally, nationally, whatever way you do it. There are two things that Google looks for. One is build quality, but the second thing is ongoing fresh content. Because if you think of Google as a kind of a bit like a spoiled child that loses interest very quickly, it will come to your brand new website, oh, lots of lovely pages, and it will read that. Of course, it can't see the images, but if the image is tagged up correctly, then that will make a big difference to Google as well. Simple example, you might have a photograph of a car, a blue sports car. Now, if that image has been tagged up correctly, it will say to Google, this is a blue sports car. However, 99% of people don't bother with that little thing, and so all Google will see is img347.jpg or whatever the number the digital camera's given it, which doesn't mean anything. So it's little things like that that make a huge difference to how Google sees you. But back to the idea of the bored child, you get a new website and Google goes, oh yeah, I love this is really interesting, and then it will come back looking for more stuff. And if there isn't more stuff there, it will kind of go, you know, I'll check later. But after a while, it gets bored very quickly. So the idea is, yes, you can have a fantastic website and run your own website. Like I said, what you get for it, starting from 500, is something that will actually work for you. But you've still got to work it. You've still got to tell people. It's the same with networking. There's a fantastic local networking group that a lot of local businesses are part of, and it's a fantastic one. We meet every other week. But if you don't go there, people forget about you. And it's that kind of thing that you've got to be telling Google about yourself. And actually, it isn't that difficult. Some of my clients think, what am I going to blog about? You know, there's only so many ways in which I can write about how I'm going to paint a room. And I say to them, it's not about that, because it's about telling Google stories. Because Google loves stories. So if you think about your last 3 clients, what did you do? They could have been a doctor, they could have been a dentist, they could have been a tradesman. And if you're a painter decorator, they all had different needs. Somebody wanted to go for a very stylish, chic look. Somebody wanted to go for an old-fashioned look. At the end of the day, they are 3 people or 3 businesses that you've helped. And if you write about them, when you've done the job, it's all fresh in your mind. And it's no more complicated than that, because then you've got an endless supply of stuff to blog about. Because that's what a blog is. It's telling Google stories. If you have to think about what to write, you're doing it wrong. You just talk about what you do. And Google is very, very clever at understanding when you're trying to con it, and you just, a couple of tips I can give to everybody. The two most important things right now is that you should have at least 350 words on your page, and that you should drop in a keyword such as decorator, birdom, or builder, west wittering, or whatever, a couple of times in there. And the rest of the time just write naturally. So what you've got is a scenario where you've got a website that's built properly, because we've done it. You're adding content, or somebody's doing it for you. And then, if you keep doing it, Google is interested, because Google wants to give people what they're looking for. And if you're looking for local business, Google will want to give you that local business. If you're looking for a photographer in this area, and you look it up on Google, Google's will want to give you that information. Google's not want to give you a website that doesn't work for you.
No.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, yeah, it makes sense. Of course it does. I mean, as you say, Google, if you like, are acting for third parties, and they want to make sure that what they're putting out there is good. Otherwise, people will just say, well, I've been onto Google, a load of rubbish. You can't find anything on there. Yeah, which is the sort of thing that we know that does happen.
People trust Google more than they trust... People will check the weather on Google rather than looking out the window. Because that's the level of trust. But the only reason they've got that level of trust is that they've always given people what they want. Now, a lot of people say, well, Google's always moving the goalposts. It doesn't move the goalposts, it raises the bar. In other words, what you used to be able to get away with a few years ago, you can't now. For us, it's brilliant, because we've had a couple of fantastic local businesses, had some amazing success with Google, and it's only because they've had a well-built website, but B, they've added content regularly, and they've done what I've told them to do.
And people like me are probably the most guilty of not updating a website. And of course, if I go onto a website and I think, well, that hasn't been updated for 3 months. I mean, they're not interested. And I do it myself. So I'm really guilty of that. And that's why I know my website doesn't work for me.
It's amazing.
Thankfully, I'm of an age, where I'm not really too worried about it. But if I were, if I was in the business of doing what I do now, and I was 30 years younger, then I would consider it would be an investment to go and spend the kind of money that you're talking about and getting a good website done. And I see them, when I look to see what other people are doing and what other people are charging for their services, and you think, that's a cracking website, that. And chances are the guy hasn't done it himself.
Well, that's the bottom line. And I think what a lot of people think when they start up in business, because when you start a new business, all you see is money going out of the door for everything. It's all spend. So therefore, you want to, where you can, you'll go cheap. And if I meet somebody who's starting a new business and wants a website, I would say to them, don't go the bespoke route, save your money. Because if you do, your business model may change in 6 months, and suddenly you find the website's not working for you and it's not right, but you spent the money. But a lot of people think, okay, that's fine, let's go the really cheap route and get one of those really cheap self-build things. But the problem with doing that is that because Google negatively ranks these websites, you're actually worse off than if you hadn't had a website in the first place. And what these people are doing all the time, they say, I'll go cheap now, and then in 3 years' time when I've got some money behind me, I'll have the money to invest. But during that 3-year period, it's actually been working against them. So what I say to them, run your own website, perfect, you can be up and running today, we'll get it built for you, you can, there's options, you can have a slideshow, all different things that you can have, and that will hit the ground running for you in terms of Google. And yes, in 3 years' time, if you want to go for something bespoke, absolutely, and we would love to do that because that's what we've always done. But this product, it works for anybody, and we're really excited about it because I just hate to see people throwing money away on something without knowing that it's not really going to work for them. It may look lovely, and that's, Google can't see how pretty it looks.
No.
Google just looks at build quality.
Well, you've heard it there, folks. The one thing that Clive does want to do is to save you money. He wants your business, of course, but he wants to save your money and do it properly. And as I say, I've built my own website. It's not particularly good, and I'm fairly capable when it comes to doing that sort of stuff. and it's rarely updated, or rarely up to date, I should say, and so it doesn't work for me. It doesn't generate any income for me whatsoever, but it's there because people expect it to be there. Sure. If you want to generate income, go to the professionals. Go and see Clive and he'll sort you out. Thanks for coming in, Clive, once again, and we look forward to getting an update from you in the future.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, it's quiz time once again, and we go over to Kevin Noble for his Connections quiz.
Right, hi, my name's Kevin, and this week's Kevin's Connection quiz. I've got 5 questions for you. So what are the answers to the 5 questions? And at the end, what connects all the 5 answers? Okay, so question number 1. Which author's fictional works have been turned into commercially successful films, including The Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games? Who's the author of The Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games? Question number 2. What are Watling Street, Ermine Street and the Fosse Way? So what are Watling Street, Ermine Street and the Fosse Way? Question number 3. Which intercity coach service that has red, white and blue theme is one of the UK's biggest transport providers? Which intercity coach service? Question number 4. What palace is the meeting place at the House of Commons and the House of Lords? What's the name of the palace? And question number 5. Which decisive major German offensive was launched through the densely forested Ardennes mountain region at the end of World War II? Famous battle, what was it called? Okay, so that's your 5 questions for this week. What are the answers? And also, what connects all the answers?
Now, just in case you'd like the answers to last week's quiz, they are as follows. A chevron, Salvador Dali, horseshoe, Pancho Villa and walrus. And the connection is they're all types of moustache. So that will just give you an insight into Kevin's mind and how it works, and it might help you along the way with getting the answers to this week's quiz. And of course the answers will be given out in next week's programme. My next guest in the studio today is a man who's decided he'd like to turn his hobby into what he does for a living. And I'm talking now to Mike Parham. And Mike's an amateur digital photographer, or at least he was amateur, and he's now hoping to earn a living from it. So we wish him well with that. And to promote this work, Mike is holding a jazz afternoon at East Wittering Village Hall from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. on Saturday the 2nd of April. So if you'd like to see Mike's work, you can get along there and enjoy some wonderful jazz music from the Regis Jazz Band and have a look at some of the work that Mike's got on display. I believe you've got somewhere in the region of 3,000 pictures that you've taken, Mike, but they won't all be on display, I take it, but 3,000 pictures is an awful lot, and they're only the good ones that you've kept.
That's correct.
You know, so how many pictures would you have taken to keep them 3,000?
I believe there'd be about 150 on display, probably 20 or 30 in a box, just in case we need to pop any more up. But yeah, the good one. I picked out what I think were the good ones.
Are they? Is it local landscapes?
It's everything. It's local landscapes in West Wittering. It's even pictures of Arundel. A lot of it is foreign. A lot of it is New Zealand, Australia, even down to Mauritius. And we've done some France. We've done some Palma in Spain. We've done the Canaries. We've obviously done.
So the old tandems took a bit of a bash in then. It's been about a bit.
Well, it's a hobby and it's been fantastic. I just thought I'd spend some time doing it, and going away and doing it was the best way. And not until you get home and you actually look at what you've got, which in fact most people don't. They just dump it on their computer and think, we'll look at it another day. But when you actually look and you think, actually some of these aren't bad. I'm a critic obviously because they're mine, but many people have said to me that have looked at them and said, why are you doing something with these? So we're putting on canvas.
Well, it sounds like a great idea. Turn a hobby into a way of earning a crust, as it were.
Yeah, pay the bill.
Well, that's right. Yeah, Got to earn a few beer vouchers, take a few pictures. Because nowadays with digital photography, I mean, you can just take as many pictures as you want. If you had to come back off holiday and take 2,000 snaps to boots and get them printed before you could throw the bad ones away, in which case most of them would have been thrown away.
You probably get 10%.
Yeah, that's right. There's no doubt about it that certain people have got an eye for what makes a good photograph. I'm the dead opposite. I've got a camera. I don't really know how to use it properly, and I never seem to get that special something in there.
I don't actually think you need to know how to use it, because these new ones, these big ones with large digital pixels, so you get 24, and you get actually 46 point something now million digital pics. And the pictures are fantastic.
Oh, the quality's incredible.
And you can just, as long as you've got the backroom support, you've got a nice computer, you've got a good Photoshop, and you've got a damn good printer. And I've got a printer that now prints on canvas. And some of the pictures are transformed the minute you take them off of ordinary and put them on canvas. And that's what I'm doing now. And everybody keeps telling me they look really good. So, and you can transfer them, an ordinary picture, you can turn it into an oil painting.
Yes, I've seen that bit of trickery.
Yeah, but that's what you do.
Yeah, I actually did it on a picture I had of my daughter, so even a simpleton like me could do it, but probably didn't come out as well as some of yours, but I've sort of messed about a little bit with
But you
Photoshop.
say, you do dump an awful lot. In fairness, I work out that if I took 100 pictures, I'll get 10 that I like. The rest of them we won't bother with.
But then you're casting a very critical eye over them.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of people now that you see them everywhere, phones more than cameras, sir. And people taking pictures, and they take hundreds of pictures. And they either keep them on their phone, or when they get them home, they just dump them.
That's right.
Anyway, tell us a bit about the do that's coming up on Saturday, the 2nd of April, with the George Regis Jazz Band. They're very well known locally.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be really good. What we need to do was to try and attract people to come and look at digital photography, and also to support the hospice. Now, that's not necessarily a problem, but there must be some sort of interest. We're going to be there for 3 hours. So we've laid on tea, coffees and a glass of wine, which is all donations to the hospice. What actually attracts people? So you need some local band, a good band. That people know.
Yeah, very good band.
Bring them along, and suddenly you've got another interest. So people will come to listen to the jazz, and whilst they're listening to jazz, they wander around, they put money in the donation boxes for the hospice, and they may even buy a picture. If they do, of course the hospice gets another donation. Now my partner's coming along, she's a hairstylist, and in fairness I think she's really good.
She's wasted her talents for you, that's for sure.
I was going to say, what do I know?
It's a bit rude, that. Insulting my guest like that. But if you could see Mike, you'd understand why. Because he ain't got no hair, or very little anyway.
Well, none at all, no.
But what he has got is well coiffured.
But she's very, very good. And she's going to do it, a demonstration. So the lady's going to come along and look and see what can actually be done with hair. And it amazes me what she can do. So bless her. She's going to do that. She's going to do something in the raffle as a hairstyle for somebody that wins a prize. They can have their hair done.
Great stuff. Great stuff. And all donations going to St Wilfrid's Hospice, which is never a bad thing.
No, I think it's very good.
And you'll have about 100 pictures from around the globe on display there, or maybe a few more than that.
Hopefully some more, but it's just how to put them safely. So I've made some mounts up. I've got a carpenter that's helped me very well. And the local businesses have helped me incredibly well. I mean, Dom's restaurant as an example up at Bracklesham, they put all the brochures up and they put the leaflet stand on the bar, and nobody says no. I'd like to mention, if I can, the sign shop, the sign company in Chichester. They're in Terminus Road, and they've done roadside signs for me, massive roadside signs on St Wilfrid's balls.
All right, yeah.
For nothing.
Brilliant.
Completely donated for nothing. Those guys are superb.
That's great. On the sign company then.
Yeah.
We all say thank you to them because it's all going to a good cause. Well, not all of it, because you're hoping to get some wages out of selling the pictures that you've taken.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's free. Admission is free, which I find very difficult to believe, because I would always pay to go and see the George Regis Jazz Band. They're extremely good entertainment. Good bunch of old boys getting together, doing something they really enjoy, and it comes across. Every song that they do. They really are well worth seeing, and I think I might well visit all the way from Selsey just to see it.
Please do.
Well, thanks for coming in, Mike, and telling us a little bit about this. I wish you well. Now, it's Mike's Cozy Picks. If you want to contact him, you can go to mikescozypicks@aol.com.
Or the website, which comes up this week.
So the website should be up and running by the end of this week, and that's www.global-travelpics.com, and so you can go on there and see what Mike's been doing with his life when he's had his camera in his hand. May not be all good, but pick out the best bits. Anyway, thanks for coming in, Mike, and explaining that to us, and I certainly hope to see you over there on Saturday the 2nd of April, and I'm sure you'd be happy if it's crowded and I can't get in.
That worries me, actually. It might be crowded.
Well, let's hope it is, Let's hope people browse the pictures as well as listen to the jazz band and partaking in the tea or wine. Maybe a good thing if they take in too much wine, they might loosen up their pockets a little bit. Now, before we move on to our final guest for today, I'm going to have a bit of a rant because much has been said recently about the use of local shops and small family businesses and how the service is so much better. And I think I've come up with a case to disprove that in the case of one particular shop. 20 odd years ago, I was given a watch by my old mum that she bought at a jumble sale, and it turned out to be a very expensive watch. Well, my mum died over 20 years ago. And to make sure that that watch keeps running and stays working, I maintain it regularly as recommended by the jewellers. And so I took it into a local jeweller's in Midhurst last time it needed doing, and I had it back in just over a week, and it looked lovely. It looked like a new watch, fabulous. Well, recently I thought I'd shop a bit nearer home, so I took it to a jeweller's in Chichester, and a little family jewellers called Ebony's, a lovely little shop to lure you in. Well, I took that watch there on the 4th of January and I still haven't got it back, and it's 2.5 months late. So I went in last Wednesday because they said it would be ready the previous Saturday, and still it's not ready. Now, this is an expensive watch and I'm beginning to worry whether they've actually lost it or what. How can it possibly take 2.5 months to service a watch? And to add insult to injury, when I went in and I complained bitterly about the length of time, and I told them in no uncertain terms what I thought about their service, and the lady behind the counter said, "Oh, when it comes back, sir, we'll make some adjustments to the charges for the service to show some goodwill." Goodwill would be getting my watch back, wouldn't it? Because if I couldn't afford to put a watch in there for a service, and it's not cheap, it's just under £100 for a service on a watch. If I couldn't afford to do that, and I make sure I can because it's in memory of my mum, then I wouldn't have taken it in the first place. So to me, that added insult to injury. To say, well, we'll take off 10% or whatever they're going to offer me, I don't know. It's almost as if I couldn't afford to take it in there in the first place. But all I want is my watch back. Do you think that's too much to ask? Let me know. And if you've got something you want to have a rant about, well, why not record it and send it in to us? You can record most of these things nowadays on your phone, and providing the sound quality is pretty good, then we can reproduce it and put it on the air. So if you've got a rant and you will get something off your chest, just record it and send it in to us. You can email it to us at manhoodinternetradio@gmail.com, or you can even text it to us on 0755 11 93019. Right, rant over. Right, with me now, I've got a gentleman called Nick Carter, and Nick had an idea for a book, and it was a rather unusual book. In actual fact, it was a very unusual book, and it led to him starting a company called the Time for Love Company, and the Time for Love Company now produces these books. Now, I have to say, I've just had a look through two of the most wonderful books I think I've ever come across, and they tell a story of a love for a loved one, or love for your parents, or love pretty much for anybody that you love, in pictures, in songs, in poems, and they're all put together in such a way that a certain song that brought back certain memories is in there, and it's explained why it's looked on the way it is, and the words are explained, and why they're pertinent to that particular moment in time with that loved one. Having just had a very brief read through some of them, it really is difficult to take it in. They're a fabulous book, and I'm now lucky enough to speak to the author of these, and that's Nick Carter. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, sir.
Now, tell us, Nick, it's such an unusual book that it makes me wonder what was your driving force that made you come up with the idea?
That's a very good question, and I could say superficially that I wanted to write a book for my girlfriend. I wanted her to know how much I loved her and how special our relationship was. But I guess I should start the story at the beginning. I was very fortunate 18 months ago to go to church. It was St Anne's Church in East Wittering. I've been going there for 5 years. And on this particular day, on the 29th of June, after the service, I was introduced to a very nice lady called Dawn. We got on extraordinarily well. I mean, it was just brilliant. We had coffee and we talked and talked and talked. And she'd been on her own for a goodly while, and so had I. And it just was a wonderful experience. And I discovered that we had lots in common, and she particularly liked dancing. And I had tickets for a dance at Brattlesham Barn with vintage Dawn Dawn Gracie, you probably know.
Yes, indeed.
So at the end of our coffee, I said, perhaps you'd like to come for a dance in a couple of weeks. And a couple of weeks later we did. And we had a most wonderful time, and our relationship blossomed, and we seriously fell in love. And at our age, Keith, that's a wonderful thing. We're both in our 60s, and we felt like teenagers.
Yeah, well, it's a good feeling at any age. I can't really cast my mind back to when I was a teenager to remember how it felt.
So it was absolutely brilliant, and our relationship blossomed, and we've been on holiday, and we had Christmas together and so forth. And then it was coming up to our first year, and I wanted to do something really special. I wanted to find a way of letting her know that this was a wonderful relationship and how much I appreciated it and how lucky I feel. And I didn't really know how to do that. I mean, we've done cards and we've done holidays and we've done flowers and going out for dinner and stuff, but I wanted to do something special and memorable. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he, interestingly, had a similar dilemma. He'd been going out with a girl for a few months, and it was a very special thing for him. And he showed me a book that he'd written, and it was a book containing poems and songs, love songs. And there are some beautiful love songs out there. In fact, most songs that we know are songs of love, and they're either about the ecstasy of being in love or the distress of a failed relationship. So you can find some lovely, lovely songs, and we all know them. There are hundreds of them. And Colin had put together this book with 25 songs. But what he'd done, which was really special, is he'd researched each of the song, found out about who it was written by, why it was written, what the meaning was, and then selected a number of the lyrics that really got the message across to say, this is why I've chosen this song and this is what it means to me. And then he got the 25 songs in this book, and then he had a CD made from his CD collection of these books, of these songs in the book. And he said when he gave it to his girlfriend, she was absolutely delighted. She was astonished that he'd done it for her. He put the time in to put that together. So we had a brilliant idea. We said, why don't we do this for Dawn? But let's go a step further. Let's not just do some love songs. Let's do some songs and some poems that express love and appreciation. And let's find some pictures that relate to our relationship and our experience that can help express those feelings. And then we thought, well, what exactly are we trying to express here? And I thought very hard, well, what is it I wanted to know? I wanted to know that she's loved, that she's appreciated, that she's secure in our relationship, and find a way of her feeling really happy in that security with that love. So I put this book together with those 4 sections, and for each section I had pictures, poems and songs that related to those 4 themes. And again, like Colin, I introduced each part of the book, each song, each poem, each picture, and explained exactly why it was special and why I'd chosen it. And then for the 4 sections, I said, this is what I mean by security, this is what I mean by love, this is what I mean by happy. And in here, I can just show you very briefly, one of the most enjoyable parts of the book was to put together a little piece called Appreciated, and it said, for you to know that you are appreciated means that I value who you are, what you say, what you think, what you do, and how you do it. There are a million things that make you special, but I want you to know how much I appreciate. And then I've listed your love and understanding, you show me respect, your support, and so forth. That was a beautiful thing for me to be able to express those feelings of appreciation.
And I should think very well received.
Well, here's the thing. I put the book together. Dawn knew nothing about it at all. And when I gave it to her, she was completely aghast. She couldn't believe that I put that time and effort into writing a book for her. And it says, written by Nick Carter for Dawn, and it's a book of love in celebration of our first year together. It's got a picture of this on the front. She could not believe it.
I have to say, it's very difficult to describe on a radio the quality of these items that are sitting in front of me. But these books are of tremendous quality, and I can just imagine how your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or wife, partner, whatever, how they would feel receiving one of these, because they really are a splendid idea, tremendous idea. There's an awful lot of work goes into them, and I've got to tell you guys, this would get you a lot further than a bunch of roses on Valentine's Day. But they're tremendous. The quality and everything about them, the way they're laid out, the story that's told with each poem, with each song, with each picture. If you could put it together yourself, this is exactly what you would do. But you probably wouldn't do it anywhere near as well. Now, it's true to say, Nick, that this could be done for any celebration. As you said, that you did it for Dawn for your first anniversary, but it could be done for any number of wedding anniversaries. It could be done for a couple even getting married, if they've been together for a year or so, or a couple of years before they got married.
I think as we've been through the process, I began to understand 2 things. One is it was an amazingly powerful way of connecting with your true feelings and emotions, and then through pictures, songs and poems carefully introduced like that, it was a way of expressing exactly what those feelings and emotions were. So yeah, I did it for my girlfriend for our first year, and then I realised that there's a lot of opportunities where people would really benefit from a way of expressing their love and appreciation. So we kind of put this little business together, which is looking at writing books to help people celebrate new relationships, and that's helping them connect with their true feelings and expressing those emotions. But then establish relationships, as you say, for wedding anniversaries and long-term relationships. And that book is slightly different because a lot of those experiences are built on memories and how it made people feel. And one of the key things in maintaining those long-term relationships is a feeling of not being taken for granted. Romance should never die. So here's a thing that's something new, something different. It's what more can I do for my wife to keep our relationship fresh and exciting and new, and so she really does know that I still love her dearly and I appreciate who she is. So we're writing books for those established relationships. And then we thought, well, there's another opportunity, and that is for celebrations, people getting together to celebrate maybe graduations, birthdays, anniversaries, and we're writing books in those cases where people can write their appreciation and recognition for people's characteristics, but also write in their notes of best wishes and stuff like that. So we've called the first book I talked about Arias, which are the love songs. The more sophisticated book, which is songs, poems and pictures, we've called Amalgam. And the third book I've just described, where you write it, is a book we called Author. And then I'm just doing a fourth type of book, which is really in remembrance of a dear friend. I went to her funeral a while ago and gave a eulogy during the service, and I'm writing a book for her called Appreciation, and it's really a way of recognising her values, her qualities, and the legacy that she leaves. So that's got pictures of her life, and then it's got pictures of her particular qualities and recognition for that legacy. So they're the four types of books that we're writing at the moment. I'm doing a book for my parents.
Well, I was going to say that one of the most wonderful ideas that I saw what you got there was the one for your parents.
Yeah.
To go through all that and present that to your parents would be very moving, I would think. Even for somebody like me that's not known for being too much of a romantic.
I think they will be completely astonished that I put the time and the effort into making this book for them. And it will be a book containing pictures, songs and poems that really give a picture of my early experiences of being brought up by my parents. And I've written a little introduction that says, "Dear parents, I put together this book containing pictures, songs, poems that express my deepest gratitude, appreciation, love and respect for you. The experiences herein are described to illustrate the 6 key life lessons I learned from your parenting that equip me for my future." And then I talk about belief, tenacity, love, relationships, courage, excellence. And in the book, as you go through it, you'll see illustrations of all of those things. It's been a tremendously exciting thing to do, and they will be astonished.
I'm sure they will, and most appreciative. It really is a wonderful idea. I was going to ask you about the cost of the books, Nick, but I won't do that because, to me, these are items that are very individual, very personal, and I can see where the cost would vary from one type of book that you got there to the other. But there really are things that you couldn't put a price on, in my estimation. To see that work put together in such a style and with such quality, it'd almost be rude to ask what it cost. And I would just say that if the people listening could sit and see what I'm seeing with these books, they'd be as taken aback with them as I am. And if you'd like any more information about this, and if you'd like to find out what's involved and what the cost is, then I suggest that you contact Nick Carter, and you can have a look on the website, which is www.thetimeforlove.com, or you can email Nick, and that's nick@thetimeforlove.com, and take it from there and ask all the questions you like. And do have a chat and do have a look at these presentations. They are incredible. And thanks for coming in, Nick, and thanks for showing me. They're a real eye-opener. I've not seen anything quite of the ilk of this for a long time. So anybody that loves anybody, if you want to get yourself out of trouble, get one of these books.
Thank you so much for the opportunity of sharing that. We're very excited about the business and about helping people connect with and express their love and appreciation. But here's a funny thing. The real gift is not the book, but an absolute illustration of the time, love and effort and thought that's gone into creating it. And that's why the company is called The Time for Love.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Nick.
And that's Nick Carter there. Right, now just time for a look at the weather for the coming week. On Sunday's going to be a cloudy day, but 10 degrees, wind speed of 12 miles an hour, so not too bad at all. Monday's going to have some broken sunshine, temperature of 11 degrees, wind speed 9 miles an hour, so not too windy at all. Tuesday, much the same. Broken sunshine once again, 11 degrees. Winds dropping right down to 4 miles an hour. Wednesday, once again, broken sunshine. Wind speeds at 10 miles an hour. Thursday, well, there's a 60% chance of some rain on Thursday. Winds picking up a bit to 18 miles an hour and a temperature of 10 degrees. And on Friday, Friday's going to be sunny. Well, that'll be something to look forward to. Friday's going to be nice and sunny, 11 degrees, wind at 14 miles an hour, so not too bad at all. And that's about it for this week. It just leaves me to say thank you to our producer John Fletcher, to our sound engineer John Mallet, to Trudy and Peter Hynes, to Cliive Loseby, to Mike Parham and to Nick Carter for taking part, and mainly to yourselves for listening. So this is Keith Barnes saying thanks for joining us and see you again soon. Bye for now.